Hey Trailblazers, Tony Zupanzik here. Today I'd like to talk to you about a project that I've been working on for the last few months called Builder. So what Builder is it's a development workflow for Salesforce Marketing Cloud that takes your workflow out of your web browser, out of that code editor there, brings it to your local code editor, whether that is VS Code, Sublime, or any other code editor that you use. You're able to update, edit, manipulate your folders, your files, and push them back into Salesforce Marketing Cloud without having to copy and paste every little update into the platform itself. In addition to that workflow, we've also upgraded it with a handful of security features, and we've upgraded it with the ability to actually package and deploy into any Marketing Cloud instance. So imagine you have a set of content blocks that you use on cloud pages or emails. You can package those up, put those into a Git repository, and share them with the community, share them with your followers, share them with your friends, your teammates, whoever, all by the use of a simple GitHub URL. And I'm going to go through some of that stuff today. The first thing that we do once we get set up, you can go to our NPM page or the website for information around how to get set up, how to actually get configured and get going. There is also a SFMC DG Trailblazer meetup that I was fortunate to be on that has all of that information as well. So we're going to start off by just running through some of the basic commands. And if you know Git, it's going to seem very familiar. And even if you don't know Git, it is simple enough that anybody can really learn how to use this. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to find the folders that we want to bring down and work on. So Builder has a built-in search functionality. So you can do Builder, search, and then there are two different contexts. So right now there is Content Builder and Automation Studio. So we'll stick to Content Builder right now. So the flags for that are dash dash and then CB. And then we're going to look for a folder. So we're going to do a dash F. Now if we're looking for an asset, you would do dash A. So then with this, I'm going to type in the name of a folder that I want to look for. And it does do partial matching as well. So I'll do Builder SSJS, and I'll hit enter. And you'll see a handful of folders that come down in my instance that match that specific naming query. So this is the one that I'm looking for here. So I'm just going to grab that folder ID. And then I'm going to do a builder clone, go back into that CB context, the folder context, and paste in that folder ID. So with that, what it's going to do is it's going to go through, grab all your folders, all the subfolders, all of the assets that are included in those folders, and recreate them locally. So this has every file that is within that set of folders. And as you can see, it does do nested folders down to whatever's in those assets. So that is the basic cloning or bringing down of assets to your local machine. Now from here, if you're tied into GitHub or Bitbucket or AWS, you can turn around and push those into your repository and commit those to version control. The next thing that you can do is, if I don't need this comment, for example, I can go ahead and remove that comment. I can save that. And then what I can do is I can do a builder add. For the add command and push command, you don't need any context flags. So you'd want to go into Content Builder, your folder, your project folder. I'm going into my server, my SSJS classes folder, my configuration, and then grabbing that specific file that I've updated. The cool thing about this is you can do this for multiple files at the same time. So you can make a handful of updates and then push them into Marketing Cloud in bulk. So then you can just do builder push, and that's going to go in and make that update within Salesforce Marketing Cloud. So I've gone in, updated that asset within Marketing Cloud, and never left my command line, never left my code editor. So then one of the recent updates that we have worked into this is a little bit of security. So security on two different levels. So now when you configure a Marketing Cloud instance, that will get saved in either your OS X keychain if you're on a Mac, or it will get saved in Windows Credential Manager. So there's no local files being made, no system files being made. It's all handled through your secure password management on your machine. The second is this, for example, has API credentials. Now, obviously, these are not valid API credentials, but if you had valid API credentials in your files, you obviously don't want to commit those to GitHub. So what we've built in is a configuration system. If you've ever worked with JavaScript or Node.js, you have the concept of environment variables. It's very similar to that. So what we've worked in is for an existing project, you can do builder init --config only, and this is going to create two files. So it's going to create a config.json file, and it's going to create a template file. So the config.json file will get added to a gitignore file. So this will not get committed to your GitHub repository. So this one does not. And then this one is really for that distribution aspect of it. So if you're distributing this, working with it on a team, you can put your configuration needs in this file, and it will carry with it. So that person that's deploying it will know what they need to do in order to tie in their credentials to your package. So with this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy a couple values into my configuration file. And these values, they can really be just about anything that you need to replace. It doesn't have to be API credentials. It doesn't have to be anything like that. If it's just a value that needs to be replaced that you don't want in there, you can throw it in here and it will act just the same. So I'll go ahead and save that, and then I'll close that out really quick. So then with this, if I go through and I add this configuration file manually and push it back into Marketing Cloud, it'll make that update. If I go through and if I package this file, it'll make that update in every single file that those values appear in. There's also a builder init update config keys that you can run manually that will go through and make those updates as well. But this ties into the next part that I'd like to show you, is that you can, if this is something that you want to package and distribute, or package and migrate to another instance, you can run BLDR package, and it's going to ask you for a package name. Hackathon. It's version 1. And then if it's tied to a repository, you can throw in a repository name here. And then just functions. All right, so what that's going to do is it's going to create a new file here. And this is a file that you're able to go in and actually deploy into any Marketing Cloud instance. And then if I go into, if I can find it here. configuration file here. API config. So if I look in my configuration, you can see that my API credentials are no longer there. If I go in my config file, you can see that those credentials are no longer there. So now when I commit this to GitHub, those API credentials are removed. And then when I push it back into Marketing Cloud, it'll do that swap. So it's a way to keep your API credentials safe. It's a way to remove them from your packages. And it's a way for somebody that is deploying your package to go in and make those updates and then have them be replaced and start off at a point that everything is tied in. So that's the package part of this. So now if I was to take this and commit this to GitHub, I could share this out and I can have you install this with a very simple command. So I'm going to save this and I'm going to actually create a new folder here really quick. Let's open the folder that I just created. All right, so now if I'm looking to create and deploy a package into my Marketing Cloud instance that somebody else has created, for example, let me pull up. So if I go into GitHub, for example, and I go into Builder SSJS library. So this file has a package manifest file already in it. It's the same that we just created. What I can do now is I can grab the URL from this GitHub repository. I can go into my command line and run builder install and paste in that GitHub library URL. This is going to bring down a few files. This brings down the actual package manifest file that has been created. And then since this has a configuration to it, it will also bring down a configuration file as I have laid it out, basically. So then for this, for the instance of ease, I will just grab the same configuration here, paste it in there. So now I have my configurations in here, and just to show you that there are safeguards, if I don't, I can do builder deploy, and it's going to tell you that you have configurations you need to set. So then I'll set these guys here, and then I can do builder deploy. And then again, there's safeguards. So I know that this package already exists in my instance, but if I wanted to go in and deploy it anyways, I can go in and find every instance of this folder. Save that and then run my builder deploy again. And then that's going to go through and create everything in Marketing Cloud. And then it's also going to create everything locally.